So, welcome to BBQ Chopping Block Rescue. This is a chopping block that I got from friends. They had only used it once, and that's just a joke, but you can see it's got mold and stuff on it. It's been split, it's been outside, it's frozen, it's thawed out, and it's grown a lot of stuff. And so I started putting oxalic acid on it to try to take some of the nastiness and nasty color away. Didn't really work. So it was just going to be a lot of work. The drawer here was just too far gone, so the bottom had to be taken out. And there it is. It's warped, it's twisted, and oddly, these blocks tended to get small at the ends and bulge in the middle, which is odd. You would expect them to be glued at one end and maybe bulged out at the other end, but that wasn't the case. So that made gluing a real challenge. Here I'm also even using bleach to try to get this black mold, this stuff out of the wood. Nothing worked. Nothing, that is, but 60 grit sandpaper on an electric sander. So what was still kind of together, I numbered everything so I could sort of get things back how they were. And then it was just a process of sanding down what I could. Some parts of the chopping block stayed together. They were still quite intact and well glued together with no cracks. That was about a third of it. And the rest needed to be sanded. Well, it all needed to be sanded, but the rest needed to be sanded down, pulled apart, sanded down, glued together. I decided to try to put wood on wood when I put the glue in. And sometimes the tolerances were just too wide. So I tried to put veneer in there, and that was a mistake. It was a mistake because once I put the mineral oil and that kind of thing on there, some of the wood expanded and it expanded up. I mean, it wasn't a big mistake. It was okay. I just had to go back over it and sand it down when I thought I was done. But what I wish I had done, rather than what I'm doing here, is I had just gone the whole hog with epoxy and just gotten it together with all the cracks and with all the problems. Put it together and then just slathered the whole thing in epoxy. And as you can see here, there's clamping and a lot of clamping, a lot of glue, a lot of clamps, a lot of time put into that. In this project, I got a number of new clamps, which was a real treat, and got to learn to use them better and better. Here's a section that was still pretty much intact, and you can see how poorly the fit is on this block. You can see that the sides kind of look straight, but they're definitely not. And so gluing these down really well took quite some pressure. You usually let these things go for about 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours, most of the time. Yeah, YouTubers will tell you need to let it dry overnight, but there was so much gluing to do. There was just so much to do that I just couldn't let it go overnight. Here I'm doing the frame of the chopping block, just taking 60 grit paper with a belt sander, and one got away from me there, and just clamped the belt sander upside down to the bench and just went at it. And I went through, oh, I don't know, a couple of these belts. Um, I guess I went through one completely and then through most of another one. But it worked fine. And here I'm going over to the epoxy and the small cracks and the uh, the blocks not fitting together very well just demanded a lot of epoxy going in. And but again, I wish I had just gotten the whole thing together and then taped it all off and epoxied one side fully and then epoxied the other side fully. And I think I might have been better off. And here you see just lots and lots of sanding on these little blocks. I think I went through a couple of bottles of that small bottles of that glue, that wood glue. This is the lower part of the frame. Put all that back together. Chose not to use any. You can see there how warped it is. Chose not to use any screws or anything in this thing. It's all dowels and it's all wood being put back together, except for 4 wood screws that are holding the chopping block onto the frame. That was just gonna work better. There's some of the epoxy I took. Sawdust and mixed it in with the epoxy, and just to give it some more wood color. There's a piece that was missing, a piece of wood there. I just filled the whole thing in with epoxy. And here's the mineral oil. This is food grade mineral oil. Nobody's going to get any nut allergies from using other oils like tongue oil or something like that. This is the right stuff. So getting this all prettied up, and that chopping block probably got 3 layers of the mineral oil, and it sucked it all up. Here's the backside. Here's the drilling the holes for the wood screws. You can see on the left-hand side there of the chopping block is that one missing block, and I just used epoxy mixed with sawdust. And now it's really coming together using some rather older technology here, just a screwdriver to get those in. It was a little bit too long to, and the drawer fits, and it really looks nice, and I'm finished, and I'm really happy. But I wasn't finished, actually. I had forgotten there's a metal holder that goes on the side. So you got to get that out. You got to drill the holes, got to chew your gum and blow some bubbles there, and you've got to get it level. Unfortunately, getting it level, I think it's actually a little bit off because the chopping block isn't level. And now it's pretty much together. So it went from being dirty and mildewy and looking horrible after spending the winter outside, and now it's back to maybe not its original glory, but it's not as good as new, but it's as useful as new, and it was a really nice project. And I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Thanks for watching.